Coming to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin by way of Stone Mountain, Georgia, birthed by the great state of South Carolina, is the Bryant Land Country Podcast. Your place for any and everything in hunting, fishing, sports, and outdoor related, with heavy doses of randomness, guests, and an all-around good time. Here's your host, proud Gamecock, South Carolina forever, AB3.
So the last time I started this podcast, I told you about how I love technology and I'm kind of a technology freak or whatever. Just a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. It took me probably about a good 15 minutes to get everything together here just to figure out what was going on. My mic wasn't working. I plugged in the old H6 handy recorder that I've been using so far about a month now. Really like it. But I plugged it in and I wasn't getting any sound out of it. I plugged my mic in, I plugged everything in like I normally do, and I couldn't get it to work. Well, 15 minutes, round and round in circles. I didn't press the little one button for channel 1, which is where my microphone is plugged up in. Don't know how I missed it, but hell, it happened. Anyway, welcome to another episode of the Bryant Land Country Podcast. I am your host, AB3, and I had technical difficulties. There, I said it. But I'm getting this intro recorded for another exciting episode of the podcast, and I have a wonderful guest for you guys this week. That's right, I said wonderful. My guest this week is Lafayette Trowell. Lafayette is from, I'll give you one guess, the great state of South Carolina. That's right. If I had a little bit more production value and could do it myself, I would add in applause right there. That's right. Lafayette is from Aiken, South Carolina. And I found Lafayette, as I find most of my guests, on the Instagram. And he was restoring cars. And I love cars. And I love trucks even more. And the car truck culture in South Carolina, as we will discuss, is highly underrated. But I saw his Instagram feed. He has a lot of really cool cars and a lot of really cool trucks on there. But he also is a Turkey Grand Slam. I don't know how would you say it. He's a Turkey Grand Slammer, maybe. Anyway, he's completed his Grand Slam, killing the 4, Grand Slam turkeys. Osceola, Eastern, Miriam, and Rio completed his Grand Slam a few weeks back in Nebraska. But I caught up with him. We talk about the car culture. We talk about, his hunting and how he grew up hunting in South Carolina. Just a really cool conversation. Just two cool cats kicking back and talking a little bit about hunting and cars. So I'm going to go ahead and fall back like I always do and let you guys listen to my conversation with Mr. Lafayette Trowell. All right, so I don't even want to start with the turkeys because with the way my turkey season has gotten off to a start, I'm basically at 0-2. I didn't have any luck in Georgia. I didn't have any luck in Kansas. You out here Captain Double Up, so we ain't even gonna start with the turkeys. I'm gonna come back to the turkeys. I'm gonna start with the cars because how I found your page was all the cars and the rims and restoring like the old bubble Chevrolets and the box Chevrolets and
yes, sir,
stuff like that. So, and I know being from South Carolina, that's, part of our culture. The car culture is kind of underrated in South Carolina. People always, they hear about the donks and the box Chevrolets and stuff in Florida, but, we got a pretty good car culture in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. How did that get popping for you? And are you still doing a lot of the car stuff?
I'm still doing a little bit of it, not as much as I did when we were younger. Because, I don't know, we just always grew up around it, man. Like some of my older cousins had a couple cars here and there. And my dad, he used to, this is going to sound terrible, but, that was like probably in the 70s or whatever. But they used to street race a lot. So he had like a fixed up Chevelle. And I think that kind of just passed down into me and my brother. Because my dad was into the cars. I think it was a 68 or a 69 Chevelle with a big block in it. And they used to street race. But he said back then, I guess things were different with the police. There was just a lot of street racing going on, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day, you could just get out in the country and late at night and just find like a straight road or whatever. And basically, you just commandeered like the little strip, down on them back country roads. Man, nowadays, ain't no telling what kind of trouble you get into with, trying to street race. But shoot, back then, even like you talking about when your pops was in the 70s, and even like with me growing up, like in the 80s and stuff, man, I still know people that was out there, street racing or either building cars and then taking them to the drag strip over in Darlington, South Carolina, and running like a lot of stock cars that they souped up. So, but yeah, no, I feel you on that drag racing. Back then, they could get away with it. Nah, man, shoot, ain't no telling what kind of trouble they get in.
Everybody going to jail now, But we actually did a car show in Darlington a few years ago. We threw one with a couple guys from around like Orangeburg, and it was crazy, man. It was like a big race and a car show. And some of the other guys, they were more so handling the racing part, and me and my brother were kind of handling the car show aspect of it. But it was crazy, man. And I just remember when I was 15, I kept seeing, watching music videos and growing up in the South, you see so much of the car stuff. And I remember watching some music video, and there was a red 6.4 in it with the hydraulics and everything bouncing and all of that. And I was just amazed. And I remember telling my dad, I was like, I want a 6.4 like that. I just kept telling my parents, I want a 6.4. I want a red 6.4 or whatever. It was literally maybe like a week or two later, one of my aunts called my mom, and they just so happened to see a red 6.4 for sale in this little small town that I'm from. And, my dad was trying to talk me out of it. Man, that car ain't got no AC. It probably ain't going to have power steering. You ain't going to want to work on it all the time. We went up there and looked at it. It had power steering. Everything was like brand new on it. It didn't have AC. But, I was 15, so that was going to be my first car. I talked him into it, and he bought it for me. And then after that, I don't know, it started rolling. And
did you fully restore that? Did you fully restore that car?
But when he bought that one for me, it was actually already painted. And that car is it's been painted now going on a good 16 years, but it stays in the garage. So that paint job still looks brand new. So
I was about to say, you still got it?
Yep. I didn't have to paint that one, but I had to redo the inside. I had to do some little transmission work and stuff like that here and there. I did the audio system and everything over. But as far as painting it, I didn't have to paint that one.
Now, did you put the hydraulics on it too?
I didn't. I thought about doing it, but I didn't.
Man.
Because, that was such a West Coast thing. And being from the South, a lot of people in the South do the big rims or whatever. And I kind of gravitated that way.
Right.
But to this day, sometimes I think about redoing it and doing it more like a lowrider, like the West Coast style.
Man,
I still contemplate that to this day.
I just remember when Dre and Snoop came out. I think it was like 93, something like that, when Nothing But a G Thing came out, and then like all the Snoop videos, and they had the 6.4 bouncing, and Let Me Ride, all that stuff. When that came out, I was like, man, I want a 6.4. I was like 14, 15 when that stuff came out. I remember the first time I seen somebody with a 6.4 riding around in Florence, and they were like, it didn't have hydraulics or anything on it. I was like, man, that ain't no real 6.4. You ain't got no hydraulics on it. That ain't no real 6.4. But man, that car was clean, man. That car was clean. And there's still a part of me that, later on, maybe like in a few years or so, I wouldn't mind having a box Chevy.
Yeah, man.
Just a nice box Chevy with one of them old school, like 350 block engines, the ones where you still got like the carburetor with, none of that fuel injected, but like a carburetor, man, Flowmaster exhaust. Man, I don't know. It might be something I gravitate towards to later on, because right now I'm a big truck guy.
Oh, yeah. They got a lot of stuff with them trucks going on now. All the crazy lifts and the 26 by 16s and all of that. You can spend some real money fixing up the cars, the trucks, any of that stuff. But yeah, the trucks are becoming a real popular thing now. Yeah,
the trucks are huge. And see, with me, I got a 14 Dodge Ram. And ever since I've been old enough to buy my own trucks, all my trucks have been lifted. I had a Blazer, the full size 90 K5 Blazer that was lifted. I had a Ram, a 98 Dodge Ram that had the lift kit on it, and then the Ram that I got now has a lift kit on it. I don't even feel right like sitting in a car because I feel like my butt is gonna scrape the ground. But man, like, and it came with the lift and everything on it because I love that high riding and stuff. I don't know if I could be in a low rider truck, man. I like being up, on that 6-inch or 8-inch lift kit, man. Just riding down the street, looking down on everybody.
It's a wonderful feeling. I have a dually. I have a F-350 dually. It's nothing new, none of that expensive stuff. Like, all of my cars are old. I don't know. It just makes things easier when there's no payments. You know what I mean?
You know what? It makes it easier when there's no payments. And then the other thing, too, is if you got the older cars that don't really have a computer, and then you can just go in and just do whatever you want, do your own oil change, do your tune up with your plugs and wires, and do different things with carburetors. So how old are you talking about when you say like older? How old are you talking about with your cars?
Well, my 6'4" is obviously it's a 64, and then my box Chevy is like it's an 88. But when I say older, I guess I mean something that you can easily buy without having to get a loan or something like that. Because even my dually, it's like a 2001, but it works perfectly fine. I tow my cars and stuff with the dually, and it's paid for. So if I decide, I want to put a lift on it, I want to put some rims on my dually, whatever, it's easier to obtain. You know what I mean? Oh,
yeah, definitely. You said two key words there, paid for. That was the thing that I missed when I got rid of my Ram, and I ended up getting my old Ram, my 98, because I went from that Blazer to like a Kia, which I had to do because I was on a commute. And then when I got rid of the Kia, I bought that first Dodge cash. And man, when that first Dodge kind of started quitting on me and I went to go get the one I got now, that was the first thing. It was just like, man, I wish there was a way I could buy this truck cash because, man, no payments, that's a golden thing right there.
Mm-hmm. And that's another reason that I kind of like the box Chevys, because you can find them for like close to nothing. Like the one that I have now, the one that's on my Instagram, the greenish one, I got in that car for maybe $1,500. I put a lot of money in it. It took me years to get that car together. I think I literally was building that car for like maybe 6 years. But it's a car that I got for maybe like $1,500. And now somebody I didn't know kind of asked me about it, and they were like, "Man, you put $100,000 in that car, didn't you?" I was like, "Nah," because if you can do a lot of the work yourself, you can save a ton of money. And I guess when you're doing a lot of stuff like that, you can get into that kind of price range if you're depending on what all you get done to something. But I took a car that was $1,500, and now I have people like asking me, "Is it a $100,000 car?" You know what I mean?
Right. And like, so how much of the work are you doing yourself? Like, are you doing the paint and in the interior and all that stuff yourself? Are you dropping your motor in yourself? Like, how much of it are you doing?
Now, the only thing with that car that I didn't do was the paint in the interior, because that takes some real skill. That takes like a really qualified person that knows what they're doing. With that car, I took a motor out of a Silverado. The motor that was in the car was a 305, just a stock 305. But I took a 350 out of one of those box Chevy trucks or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? The Silverado.
Oh yeah, them old 1500 Silverados.
Yeah,
love those.
And I took the 350 out of that, rebuilt it, put a stroker kit in it, all of that, and I put it in my box Chevy. Then I ended up getting because after I built the motor, I put a different rear end in it, and I like changed the gears, lowered the back of the car, did all of that. Like I basically did everything to the car almost myself. But what else did I do? I know I put that rear end in and the motor, and then I had a stock transmission. So the transmission, just like anything else, you can't just touch one part. Because once I beefed up the motor, beefed up the rear end, then the transmission couldn't keep up with the motor in the rear end. So I ended up having to get a whole other transmission. And me and my dad actually had to convert some stuff on the car to put the transmission in the car. And Granted, I was just lucky to have a father who knew how to do that kind of stuff, because just like the guy who asked me, if I took my car somewhere and wanted all of that stuff done, you might end up spending 30, 40,000. You know what I mean? Versus being able
easily.
Yeah, versus being able to do a lot of it yourself. And that's how I was able to save a lot of money. It took me years to put that car together, man. Every bit of 6 years. I'm
sitting here looking at it right now, your Instagram, man. That thing's pretty sweet. Nice lime green. Now, like you said, you know, your pops restored cars like all through the 70s and stuff like that. Did he have his own body shop? I mean, like, were you like always joined to the hip to him after you were, you know, as a little kid? Were you always joined to him and following him around, just kind of like soaking up knowledge? Or like, how did that go for you?
Yeah. I was always trying to figure stuff out with him, man. By the time, let me see, I think he had got rid of most of those cars when we were coming up at that point, because it was almost like the same situation with my brother. Once he got married and had kids, I think he started letting some of the car stuff go. But I think...
Oh, them priorities. Yep. Them priorities change up a lot of fun. We always used to say, I remember my cousin, he got married and actually had a kid. He had a kid before I did, and then definitely beat me to get married because I'm not married. But we always used to talk. It's like after that kid comes, all your balling stops, all your extra income and all that stuff. It goes away.
It's over. But I also think he was kind of reliving his past through me and my brother, you know?
Right. Yeah. Almost like an athlete, because when you got two boys that are into the same thing that you were into, yeah, it's like coming full circle. I could totally see that.
Yeah, because I know it could be anything would happen with my 6'4". I would call my dad up or go, because my dad actually worked on TVs. He had like a TV shop, and he repaired TVs, microwaves, VCRs, like, you know, all of that kind of stuff. He knew how to just work on everything, period. Like, he could work on cars, do anything you needed done, he could figure it out, or he knew how to do it. And that really helped me.
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm just going to pause right there, because do you not understand the value of having that person in the community? Like, that person don't exist no more. Like, the dude, exactly. You know, you could go over, you know, Mr. Sam or whoever, and, you know, it's like, okay, your TV, something wrong with your TV, something wrong with your microwave or whatever. You just take it over there, he give you a ticket, and you come back, depending on what's wrong with it. And if it's not that major, you probably just sit right there, knock it out real quick, and then take it away, man. I kind of miss those, man. I'm 42. No, I'm not, old by any stretch of the imagination, but even just little stuff like that, man, that don't exist no more. I kind of miss that.
Yeah, man. It's rough. My pops actually passed just last year, so it's been rough for us, man, because he could do anything, man. I'm telling you, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Because like even when I was just saying we put that transmission in my box, it's actually a 4L80, which is a transmission that comes in like Suburbans and Tahoes and stuff like that. And it's one that's able to handle like the horsepower from the kind of motor that I have. I have a stroker motor with like aluminum heads and all of that. It's supposed to produce like 500 horsepower, but that heavy duty transmission from out of truck is supposed to be able to handle that. So when I bought the transmission, when it got here, I was kind of looking at it like, man, how am I going to put this in my car? Went and talked to my dad. He figured it out, man. Like we put our heads together,
yep.
Going on Google, reading stuff online. We figured it out. Now, if it wasn't for him, a lot of that stuff I probably couldn't have done or wouldn't know how to do any of it.
Right, man.
He was very influential in helping me and my brother build those cars, like, period. And I think that was also him reliving his past through us. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, even with my dad, like I wasn't nowhere near into like the cars as far as like working on and fixing them. But I mean, my dad fixed all of our, cars or trucks or whatever. And I was the kid that held the light. So like whenever, something, he was out there after working all day, I was the kid, that held, the light, make sure it's just like, pass me the wrench, pass me this, pass me that. And even when I got to college, man, if something happened to my, my Blazer or my S10 or whatever, if he couldn't fix it, like if he didn't know what I was talking about over the phone, that man would be at work all day, go grab the tree shade mechanic from the hood and drive an hour to Columbia, have my stuff fixed at 11 o'clock, go back home, and then get back up and go to work the next day. So, like, that just made me think about that when you were talking about your dad. You know, I just real quick, you know, my condolences, man, because I know how that is when you have, you know, a father that you just look up to and that was your guy. Whew,
yeah, man. Yeah, I can't even lie. It's been rough on all of us, man. Me and my brother, my mom, everybody. But he taught us a lot, man. So, you know, going forward, we're trying to keep his memory alive and keep doing some of the stuff he taught us, you know. It's crazy.
Definitely. Now, like you say, you kind of slowed down on the cars. You know, your brother got married, you know, having a family and stuff like that. But so while he's out here, you know, having a family, you basically turned it into a turkey killer.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Where did that come from?
If you want to look at it
no, man, don't come on here trying to be modest, okay? Let's run down your resume, at least from what I know. Now, there's no telling what other stuff you got, but from what I know, okay, last year, like I said, I found your Instagram, looking at your cars and stuff. It's like, dang, this dude, he got some, you know, some badass cars. Then I scrolled down your Instagram a little bit more, and you got all kind of turkey pictures and hunting pictures and stuff like that. You know, taking out turkeys down there in Aiken County in South Carolina.
Yes,
then you go out to Nebraska, so you double up with two Miriams. No, I'm sorry, double up with two Rios in Kansas last year, right?
Yep.
1 hour.
Yep.
1 hour. The first day you get out there, and in an hour you already tagged out. And then just recently you went to Nebraska in the snow and doubled up again, and that completed your Grand Slam.
So I mean, we're going to talk about that one for sure.
Okay, because I appreciate you know, trying to be modest and everything, but you know, you look like, or you sound like a turkey killer to me.
Do you know how many years those turkeys whooped my ass though, bruh? Oh my God!
Well, in South Carolina, I can see that because we got Easterns, and those are some cagey Teflon birds.
Jesus Christ! Oh my God! Like, I don't even know where to start with that one. But well, I can start from the beginning. I'm gonna go way back. I ain't gonna draw it out too long. I ain't gonna draw it out too long.
No, but you good. Go ahead.
You know, I was born and raised Aiken, South Carolina, in the country, in the South. So I've always kind of been into the cars and hunting, just because we've been in the country my whole life. And one of my uncles, like, it's crazy even talking about this. My brother, my dad, they don't hunt, period. Like, they don't hunt at all. But one of my uncles, he always hunted. And I remember in his house, he had like 7 deer heads. You know, granted, these aren't like no monster crazy bucks or anything like that. But in his den, he had 7, it might have been 8. It was 7 or 8 deer heads on the wall. And I always remember going in there.
Man, you don't have to qualify it. You don't have to qualify it. I mean, so basically what you tell, and I'm going to let you finish. I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but, you know, you still trying to be modest, man. Just go ahead and thump your chest, pop your collar, because you telling me you coming from a line of deer killer, got 7, 8 heads, you know, in the house, and you looking up to that on the wall, you know, looking up to that as a little kid and stuff, and then you out here slaying turkeys. I mean, you know, go ahead and pop your collar. It's cool, but go ahead. I'm going to be quiet. Go ahead.
I just remember walking in there, seeing those deer on the wall. I was probably 7, 8. And I just remember thinking to myself, I said, one day, I'm going to have me 7 deer heads on my wall. I'm going to try to be like that one day. It just always amazed me, man. I remember being at the house one day. His truck rolled back into the woods because he owned some land back behind our house. He might have been back there 2 hours. Truck came back, had a buck on the back of the truck. And I don't know, it was amazing to me. I was like, man, I want to start hunting. But, you know, my brother and my dad, they didn't hunt, period. So I kind of just would go with my uncle a few times, would talk to him, start just reading stuff online, trying to figure it out. And I was like, man, I'm going to do this by myself. But going to the turkeys, man, the first turkey I killed, I was probably 14. I was in the woods just playing with a little box call. I look up, a turkey's walking straight towards me. Didn't make a noise or nothing. It was a jake. I killed it with a 410, man. I was like 14, and I shot it with a 410.
Wow.
But you saying all that about me being the turkey killer. Ask me how long it took me to kill another turkey from 14.
How long did it take?
Now, granted, I took a break, but the first turkey I ever killed, I was 14. And it was a jake. It was only a jake. I did not kill another turkey until I was 30. Now, I did stop hunting for a long time.
I was about to say, you had a hiatus.
I was hunting those turkeys hard for years, bruh, in South Carolina, and they were just whooping my ass every year. And that's kind of how I started trying to do the little book hunts, because I was starting to get so frustrated with the turkeys at home, because I was like, man, every season I'm out here like dedicated. I'm going hard, and then something so small would happen every year, and then it didn't work out. So at one point, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna book a hunt. And that's when I booked the Osceola hunt in Florida.
Okay.
And then
now, so wait a minute now. So you go from the quite possibly the hardest subspecies of turkey to hunt to an even harder subspecies to hunt in the Osceola.
The way I looked at it was, if I book this hunt, maybe I'm gonna have a little help, or maybe I'm gonna be somewhere that doesn't have as much pressure. Because back home, everywhere I hunt, man, I'm talking about, it is crazy hunting pressure on those birds. So it's just, I think that was another reason that it was so hard for me to even get close to one back at home. Like, all the land I hunt, man, it's just crazy pressure on it, or people trespassing.
I was about to say,
get on the land.
Is it public? Like, is it all public land, or?
Well, majority of the land I hunt is private.
Okay.
But I have started hunting public. But even the private, man, all the private that I hunt, all of the land that borders it, it's like people hunting on all of that land. So if people are hunting those birds everywhere they go, they start to figure out that, you know, what's a setup. You know what I mean?
Right. And they try to they get weary, and then they try to, you know, find safe havens and stuff. So yeah, no, I can see how that upped the game a little bit.
Yep. And man, it would be, I'm talking about years, I would go religiously, never get close to a bird. And then it would come to like the end of the season when they kind of lonely looking for a hen. And man, hold on, this is one time in particular, I was so hurt, bruh. I was so hurt. I found one roosting them. I said, you know what? All right, I'm going to come back here the next morning. No, it might have been 2 days later, but I knew where he was roosting. So I went back, set up maybe a good, I'm going to say 70 to 80 yards from where he was roosting.
Okay.
I set up, started pulling all my little tricks out the bag, you know, just barely calling, scratching the leaves, trying to make him think like, oh, it's really a hen over there. He's gobbling. Then I let him gobble. I just wait. Let him gobble 3-4 times. I barely call again, scratch the leaves a little bit. So then I finally realized he was coming. He's coming. My heart's pounding, man. But where I messed up, I was in the in timber. I wasn't in like an open spot.
Okay.
And I put a breeder hen on the ground. Just one breeder hen, you know, something that you wouldn't think would spook him or scare him. And I mean, he's finally coming on the string, coming to me.
Yep.
He saw that hen, hauled ass, man. That was like, that was the closest I got that year.
Wow.
And it's like, it seemed like it was stuff like that every year. Like one year, I would call one to me, he'd see the decoy, haul ass. The next year, I called one to me, shot at him, missed. I was devastated, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't eat.
It's nothing like missing. I mean, you know, you have fun with it and you think about it, you know, after the fact. But man, when you miss one, especially with a shotgun, like I tried my hand with a shotgun for the first time this year. And I mean, he was coming on a string. I just knew he was going to be in the bag, and boom. And then you see him like pop up and you're like, okay, he going to hit the ground. This is going to be a wrap. Man, that sucker landed feet first and just kind of like took off. You see them little feet pitter-patting back into the wood, and you just like, I can't believe I missed. Now, I don't know, you know, what a lot of other veteran turkey hunters would say, but talking to a couple of people, I had like those TSS shells that everybody's swearing by now, but they was number 9s. And number 9s is basically bird shot. And from what I understand with the TSS, it's like, it's good for like 60 yards or whatever, but if that bird is right there in front of your face, you'll miss them clean. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not making excuses. At the end of the day, I missed and I don't have a bird, but Did you think the shot went over him or under him? I think it went over him. I think it went over him, and a little bit of it tickled him. I think that's exactly what I think happened. Yep. It like tickled him, and then you know, they jump up, and then he hit the ground feet first, and then he just like pitter patted off into the woods, and I was just like, I can't believe this. So but like I said, I ain't making no excuses. You know, that's that's, it's part of the game, man. The first time I went on my property year before last, I had hens around me, and, I ain't know no better, so they yelping, I'm yelping back. They yelping, I'm yelping back. Then it got cloudy, and I could hear, the storm getting ready to come. First, I'm sitting there yelping back. They get quiet. Next thing I hear, boom, big old thunderclap. And then the next thing I heard right immediately after that thunderclap behind me was, I was like, nuh-uh, not rat, not rat, nah. And I'm sitting there, and I hit the call again, and then I hear, I was like, oh, this is going to happen. But then right after that, another thunderclap came, and then the wind started picking up, and I was in the ground blind, and I was like, man, the last thing I need to do is get hurt out here by myself trying to kill a turkey. And I got up, didn't want to. I got up, and I had walked back. I wasn't even on my ATV. I had walked into my spot, and I got up. I walked back. As soon as I shut the door on my pickup truck, it was like a monsoon and lightning came, and I was just like, well, that's the reason. Yeah, that's the last thing I need is to get struck by lightning in the ground blind. And then after that, I was kind of like you. It was like, man, these turkeys been whipping my behind. Maybe I'll book a hunt and see if I can get, some help and see, what can happen. And then I was successful. The first time I went, killed a turkey with a bow, felt good about myself. And now, like this year, I'm like re-questioning my entire life. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm trying to do out here.
It's funny how that happens. Like, just talking with different people. Because I guess a lot of people. Well, let me backtrack. I'm not familiar with the bow because I hunted when I was younger, but it was only small game stuff. Only small game. I killed 2 deer when I was younger, but that was it with a 20 gauge for some buckshot. But that was total luck. Okay. Like I was walking out of the woods, and I don't know if something had already spooked them, but they were running towards me, and luckily I killed 2 like at one time, a doe and a buck. But with me just going to college and then messing with the cars, being in school, all of that stuff, I quit hunting for a long time, man. And I just started back hunting in 2014. That's when I went and got all of my stuff, and I was like, man, you know what? I actually bought some trail cameras. We just putting them in the woods just to see. And then it was all kind of stuff back then. I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to get back into hunting, just see what happens or whatever. With me just kind of getting back into it and being not necessarily new to it, but getting back into it, I typically use guns. I've never tried a bow. And it's just always interesting to talk with different people because I hear a lot of people say once you kill something with a bow, hunting with a gun seems too easy.
It's a wrap. I'll tell you that off top. And I've never rifle hunted. The only thing that I've killed with a shotgun so far is just like ducks and geese, and that's a boatload of fun. Like I definitely don't want to try to take out ducks and geese with a bow, although I've seen trick shots with people doing it. But man, when it comes to deer, hog, and turkeys with a bow, oh my God. Yeah. Because getting them that close when, what I'm saying, like a rifle or whatever, you can reach out and touch them, 75, 100, 150, whatever, good as marksman you are, you can reach out and touch them. But that bow, to get them animals in, 15, 20, 25 yards, and you can actually see them and then outline in your head where the vitals are and try to put an arrow through them. Man, yeah, it ain't nothing like it.
I might have to try it at some point. Man. But matter of fact, when I was in Kansas, when I had doubled up or whatever, since I finished early, the guide who I was with, I think, I was the last person. I was the last person that they had booked for that particular season. So he was like, well, since we don't have anybody else and you're still here, I want to try to tag a bird. You can come along with me. So I was like, all right, cool. And he had a bow. And he actually shot. It was a huge Tom. I'm pretty sure it was a 3-0. And he shot it. It looked like it was a perfect shot. Tom hobbled away, and we never found him. And that was discouraging to me. I was like, I don't know if I'm a fool with these bows, man. Because we were devastated, man. Oh
man, they are tough in the body. You almost really have to try to get them really, really close and take them out and go for the headshot. Because even the one that I shot last year, it was a pass through. I had feathers, I had blood. He still wobbled and then took off and tried to fly, and then he piled up under a tree probably about 30 yards away.
That's crazy, man. They're so tough. You wouldn't even think that it would be like that.
No. And like I said, this is passed through vitals and everything, good blood. And then you can forget about blood trail, with all those feathers and stuff. And when I finally got to them, most of the blood was soaked up in the feathers. I could see where I opened them up pretty good with the broadhead. But like I said, ain't no blood tracking no turkey. You either got to pop them in the head and get them down, or if you hit them good, just hope that they pile up quick.
Yeah, I know when his hobbled off, we looked for that turkey for, it might have been 2 hours, man. We could find like no signs of him. And I have it all on video. It looked like it was the perfect shot, man. And we were, you know how it is. If you shoot something or whatever and then you can't find it. Oh man, yeah. We was
It's devastating.
It's devastating. Sick, man. Oh my God.
Because not only do you feel bad because you didn't find it, then you got like, well, did I wound it? Is it going to turn up dead a couple days later? Did I just basically make coyote food or whatever kind of predator food? Like, is the animal suffering? Like, people don't understand, those things go through your mind, man. Even, with waterfowl, when you hit like a cripple or whatever, it's like you want to make sure if you take that shot, you want to be able to recover everything that you shoot at, whether it's a gun, bow, whatever, man. Like, that thought process and that sick feeling of not finding that animal, it's a burden.
Yeah, man. And people out here thinking that hunters are just, soulless killers, man. We out here feeling sad,
Exactly.
Sad, man. Like,
exactly, because it's a sport and you want to do the humane thing, and then for people that actually hunt for the food and stuff, and rely on taking game animals to feed their family and whatnot, man, they can't afford to miss.
Yeah.
So you just ain't out here just wrecking animals and stuff, man. You want to try to do quick, humane, and then get them down, and then get them out of there. So let's go back to Kansas. Like I said, you doubled up in an hour. Now Nebraska, you got like a whole bunch of snow. What happened out there?
Man, before I go on these hunts, I don't know if that's just me being conscious. I'm always checking the weather like crazy. So if you kept up with the news at all last week, there was a crazy blizzard, a spring blizzard that went through like the Midwest out there. It like went through Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, all of that, like crazy blizzard. So I'm looking at the news, and it's literally like the day before I'm supposed to depart, where the day before my flight is supposed to leave, the blizzard is going through South Dakota. And I have to fly to South Dakota to drive to Nebraska. So, I'm just looking at the news like, oh my God, like what is going to happen with this trip? I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. But luckily, I landed like the day after most of the blizzard stuff was done. So there was still snow everywhere, but it wasn't, still storming like crazy or snowing or anything. So the roads were pretty taken care of, so I could get to my destination. Just being from the South, man, that was amazing. Seeing that much snow. I've never seen that much snow in my life. Never. Matter of fact, speaking of snow, I saw a picture of you with an old monster buck in the snow. Where is that from?
Well, that was so when I moved up here, when I took the job directing Bucks and Brewers games, and that was right after I had just got into hunting. Like, I had bought a bow for Father's Day that summer for myself, and I had went on a hog hunt, and that was the first thing I ever killed with a bow was a hog down in South Georgia. So when I moved up here, of course, I wanted to get out and do more stuff with my bow and whatnot. So that first year, I shot a doe, and it was cool. I went on a hunt and shot a doe or whatever. It was like, all right, I'm starting to get the hang of this. And then
wait. You said when I moved up here. Where are you now?
Oh, I'm sorry, Milwaukee.
Yo, the
Wisconsin.
whole time.
So
I
go
thought you
back
in
and
Georgia
forth.
this whole time.
No, I go back and forth between Milwaukee and Atlanta for work. So because I do Bucks games 6 months out of the year during the NBA season, and then I do about 30 or so Brewers games, direct those for television. Mm-hmm. So in the summertime, a lot. I'm home in Atlanta, and then I'm back and forth to South Carolina. So yeah, when I was so I got up here, found an outfitter or whatever, went hunting, got a doe, and then went out the second time and shot my first buck. And the first 2 bucks I killed in back-to-back years. The first year, I think it was 14, And I've been in some cold places, traveling for work and whatnot. But it was 14 and there was snow on the ground, and being new to it and everything, I was like, I want to kill a buck in the snow. I want to see the blood trail up against the snow, all that stuff, like, all the cool stuff that you see pictures of. I was like, I want to do it. So obviously up here in Wisconsin, winter lasts forever. So that first deer I shot, was out in the snow. Then I had time off again in December the next year, and I went even further north in Wisconsin, and it was even colder. And the first day, we didn't really see anything or whatever. The second day, it was like the first deer that came along was getting it, because I wasn't going to be out there no longer than I needed to be. And luckily, that deer was a nice one.
You trying to tell me that big, crazy buck was the first one that came through that day?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But the thing is, though, we end up sitting probably like 6 hours.
Whew. In the freezing 14 degrees?
It was a shooting house, so you had like a little heater.
Oh, okay.
But the window was still open. So even, you had like the nice little butane heater or whatever, the window was still open. So, because the first day we sat in there, and I thought I saw something, and we tried to open the window. Of course, the windows had already frozen.
Froze shut.
And yeah, they froze shut. So it was just like, all right, we came back the next day. It was just like, open these windows. I'm not taking no chances. Like I said, it was a good, 6 hours. Like I said, first deer came along, they was getting it. Now, the year before that first deer I shot that deer in a tree stand. And we were out there. We did 2 sits. We sat in the morning till about noon, and then we came back about like 1 until dark, which, dark up here that time of the year is about 4:30. Yeah. Now that first deer, that was, I thought my toes was going to fall off.
Yo, man.
And I mean,
it's funny just hearing you say all of that, because when I got those Miriams Saturday morning, we went out there, and I'm from South Carolina. I've never seen this much snow in my life. Like, we walking through the snow is coming up past my boots, and the guy that I was with, he had a blind and he had a heater. So our plan was we were gonna go set the blind up, get in there and turn the heater on. So we walk up like a tree line. The tom's already gobbling in there. And it's not like it is down here where, you might hear 1 tom or 2 gobbling. When those turkeys started gobbling, I could tell it was literally 8 toms, man, like 8 or 9 toms. But
that's the great thing about Nebraska and Kansas is those Rio and Miriams, they're vocal.
Oh, my God. And it was so many times. Like, where I'm from, I usually see 1 tom, man, like 1 or 2 times a season. That's it. You know what I mean? So we on the tree line trying to set this blind up. They just keep hammering in there, hammering. I'm thinking like, oh my God, there's a bunch of them. Like, they gonna come down any minute. So we can't get the blind to set up. It was all tangled up and messed up. We could never get the blind to set up. So the guy that I was with, he like set up some decoys, and we were like, all right. Mind you, it's 14 degrees. So, I'm kind of like, man, we ain't gonna get to turn the heater on and give him the blind.
Nope. So you gotta rough it.
Oh my God. So the turkeys, when they pitch down, just like, you would expect them to do, they go the other way. They don't come to where we are set up with like the decoys in the wide open spot. They go like through the woods the other way. So then we like start working through the woods in the snow trying to get closer to them, and they're in a wide open field. And this is like the first time I actually see them. It might have been like 10 hens was out there, probably a good 8 or 9 toms just out there strutting. So, the guy has a decoy and he's trying to work them closer to us. All the hens come running to us, but the toms stay in the field strutting.
Yep.
So at some point, they all decide to go into the woods. They kind of like circle around us and go in the woods. So we start trying to just slide up on them, slowly trying to see what's going on. And the guide has a decoy that's like half of a tom, and it's got a handle behind it, so he can kind of, work it back and forth. And it's got that tail fan on it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Man, that's all it took. That did the trick. Like, once they saw that decoy, the hens came over, and the toms were still back there strutting. Mind you, it's like 8 or 9 of them, which is like just mind blowing to me. So they eventually started working closer, and that was all she wrote, man. I shot the first one, like, soon as he got close enough. I've never been this close to a turkey either, like, when it's alive and strutting. When I shot the first one, I'm almost for certain he had to be only, like, 5 or 6 yards away from me, man.
Oh, wow.
I think he was just so fixed on that decoy, he didn't even see us, man, because we weren't in the blind or anything. We was just on the ground.
Right.
And after that, he started calling. And that's the difference between those Miriams and the Eastern. Like, an Eastern would have got out of there after I shot. Those turkeys hung around. He started calling and playing with that decoy back and forth. Do you know those turkeys came right back to us, man?
Yeah.
I'm talking about right after I shot and killed one right there. They came right back. It was amazing.
When I went to Nebraska last year, I called in 4. And I was like you. I was just like, wait a minute. What? And then they came like down the ridge, and I mean, I thought I suck as a turkey caller.
Oh, me too.
You know, I hit it, and then I hear it there in stereo because it's like 4 of them. They all gobble at the same time, and I peek out the blind. You know, at the time I thought it was 4. It was actually 5, and they came down on a string, and I stopped one of them. The guy, I had talked to a guy earlier in the day, and he was just like, yeah, you know, if you want to get the turkey to stop right before you shoot him, just yell, "Hey, turkey." I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I was like, this guy's pulling my leg. He obviously knows I ain't been doing this long, and he's got to be pulling my leg. Man, them turkeys came in. They was on a beeline. They gobbled, and then they was still, you know, kind of moving and whatnot, and they had already went out the frame of my camera. I said, "Hey, turkey." And it was, and the next thing you know is you hear my arrow snap right between his wings and then come out at the bottom of his leg. Like, when I went and looked at him, I opened him up and saw, you know, it went right through the wing and then pinched down through the leg. But after I shot him, the rest of them, the other 4, they just kind of looked around and then started gobbling. Then when he like took off, the one that I shot took off running and then started to try to fly. And when he tried to fly, he piled up under a cedar tree. The other 4 kind of just ran off gobbling. Yeah, they ran over gobbling, and then they went over there and pecked on him. They pecked on him for about 2-3 minutes, and they were just like, all right, I guess he gone. And then they started gobbling again and went right back up the hill where they came from. I was like, I've never
all of that
seen anything like that.
Bro, that's exactly why I'm just enjoying starting to travel to hunt, because just being here is different, man. These turkeys are evil in South Carolina, man. And then there's not a lot of them. I think that's the other thing that kind of sucks. There's so many people hunting them, and it's just so many things that, like, the turkey numbers in South Carolina just keep going down, man. It just makes me so sad, man.
It's hard to get on a bird. And what's so crazy is down there in Aiken where you are, you're not that far from the Turkey Federation headquarters out there in Edgefield.
Yeah. Yep, National Wild Turkey Federation, man.
Yeah, but like you said, those Easterns, I think pretty much anywhere you go, those Easterns are tough hunting. Mm-hmm. And when you go out west, Texas or Kansas or Nebraska, and you get on some Miriams or some Rios, you know, something that's got like a strong population, they're very vocal and they get on the call. So, I mean, that definitely makes it a little bit easier and a lot more fun. Well, I shouldn't say easier as the person who came back with no birds, but that's because I was still trying to do it with a bow, and the weather conditions, the weather conditions was horrible. Now, you talk about watching the weather. The day before I got there, got to Kansas, it was like 80. And then the next day, it was literally like 25-mile-an-hour winds and like 40 degrees. Mm-hmm. The weather out there was terrible, you know, and then, you know, like I tell people, it's part of the deal. Sometimes, you know, you go and you're successful, and sometimes you go and you're not successful. I mean, that's all part of it. I mean, unfortunately, you know, it's always funny because I laugh. I listen to people say, like, you know, well, if you got something every time, then I wouldn't want to do it because everybody did it. Or, you know, if it was easy, I wouldn't want to do it. Okay, you can have that. I would love to go every time and get something, and I would love for it to be easy. I'm just built that way. But I'm smart enough to understand and to know, you know, it's part of the deal, and that's just how it works.
It's, the weather in Kansas, I don't even know where to start with that one, but I guess it makes sense how you know, the Wizard of Oz played out, you know. So kind of crazy stuff going on out there, man. But not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
I know when I went on my Kansas trip, we were out scouting the day before I hunted. When I went, it was the first week in May, which is their what is that? I think it's tornado season or
Tornado Alley.
It was tornado hurricane season. There was a crazy. I'm trying to remember. It was either a tornado or must not have been a hurricane. It was a tornado, I believe.
No, it had to be a tornado. Yeah, because we're being out there in the Midwest, definitely. Yeah, because they call that area out in Kansas like Tornado Alley. It's just like where those tornadoes, they just rip and roar down on the string down there.
And a tornado touched down. I'm almost for certain because I have some of it on video. A tornado like touched down while we were out there scouting, and then there was like a crazy hailstorm. But then the next morning, everything was perfectly fine. We went out there, and I doubled up like within the first hour. So I don't know, man. It's just that's how hunting is. I guess it's just kind of random, man.
It really is. I mean, there's very little rhyme or reason to it because, I mean, in May when I was in Nebraska, it rained the whole time and it never got above 50. I mean, there were plenty of times that I started my day in like 2 sweatshirts because it was cold and rainy, and then by, like 11 o'clock or whatever, it at least warmed up to like 45, 50 where I only needed 1 sweatshirt. But starting the morning, I think I hunted, 3 days, and every morning I went out, it started the morning raining.
Yeah.
So, but what's next? What's next for you? Are you going anywhere else this season? Are you waiting till deer season? What's next for you?
Well, before we get into that, let me say this real quick, man. The stuff, like we were saying, the hunting thing is kind of random, and I would not want it to be too easy because when it comes together, it's just a beautiful thing, man. Like even how you were saying I need to pump my chest out with these turkeys, they whooped me for so long that now that it's finally happening, I'm just so happy, man. Like it's
I can hear it in your voice. It sounds like you smiling through the phone.
Because I'm thinking about my pronghorn hunt from last year, man.
We didn't even get into the pronghorn hunt. Yeah, let's talk about that. Now, did that happen the same time while you were out there, or is this 2 separate trips or whatever?
2 separate trips. The pronghorn trip was New Mexico, and I went to that one in September, which is like around the pronghorn's rut time.
Okay.
So they were out there just going crazy.
Right.
They were out there going crazy. But you know how it is when you're in the hunting. I would sit at home watching different little stuff on YouTube.
Yep.
And I came across a guy named Randy Newberg. He's got like a big hunting show. He's out there in the West or whatever. And he has a ton of pronghorn videos. And I just kept watching them. And I was like, you know what, man? With the deer here, sometimes I have luck, but not so much as far as like getting, a nice buck. It might happen once every couple of years.
Right.
But I was just watching all of those videos, and I was like, man, I want to try to hunt something that's not in South Carolina, something that's different.
Yep.
And I saw how the pronghorn is so wide open out there, and, I don't want to say it's more of I'll go ahead and say it. It's a little bit more of a fun hunt, I would think, than like a deer hunt because you're mobile.
Right.
You're out there looking for the pronghorn. You can see them from a mile away, but the thing is they can see you from a mile away as well.
Right. And you trying to get close to them. You basically taking the fight to them.
Yep. But that was a fun hunt, man. I can't lie. That was a fun one. But day one, I know we saw a pronghorn like early in the morning. We were trying to get on him. I think we walked 5 miles, man, like trying to catch up with him, and he kept giving us the slip. Like we would see him in one spot. I know we saw him in one spot, and we like dropped down into a valley because that's how you got to try to beat the pronghorn. You got to use the land against them.
Okay.
Because if it's a spot where it's like a valley or something, you can try to duck down and come around or go over a hilltop when they're down in the bottom or whatever to try to use the land to your advantage to gain ground on them. So we saw one making a scrape. We walked, I think, a mile or 2, got to the scrape. He was nowhere to be found. I mean, you can see for miles.
Wow.
We saw him. We couldn't see him at all. Don't know where he went. It's like he just vanished. So their first day, like even with that being a book hunt, it wasn't easy, man. We literally walked 5 miles on day one.
Oh yeah.
Like
I've seen like you said, I've seen videos of people hunting pronghorn, and like you said, because they're so fast and it's an open space.
Oh my God.
Now what's even crazy to me is like I've seen people take pronghorns with a bow, but they've all said that those bow shots are like 60, 70 yards. And I just can't imagine taking a bow to an animal that can move that fast. I mean, it's one thing for a deer to jump the stream, but you talking about basically an antelope that can take off at any point.
Yep.
Now, did you shoot that with
the second?
Did you shoot that with your shotgun?
No, I have a 270, a Savage 270, yep. And it's actually, man, I'm trying not to get into the sad part of it, man, but like my uncle that used to, take me hunting a few times, he ended up passing. So my aunt gave me his Savage 270, and that's kind of another reason I got back into hunting. Because I went and talked to her, and I was like, I remember he had this rifle, like, would you mind if I asked her could I buy it? And she was like, nah, you can't buy it. I don't want to give away any of his stuff. I was like, all right, cool. I just go find me one or whatever. So I guess she thought about it, and then like a week later or so, she gave it to my dad, and then he gave it to me.
Oh,
and
man, how cool is that? I
took that right. Yeah, man. I remember that's like one of the guns he would have when he would take me when I was like younger. And I always remember that gun. So I kind of have like, a connection to that gun through him,
Definitely.
I took that gun with me. And when I booked the hunt, I talked to the guys a lot, and they know I'm from the South. So they was asking me what was I comfortable shooting at, like distance-wise. And I was like, man, where I hunt, almost all of my shots are at 100 yards or less. Mm-hmm. And he was like, all right, you're going to need to practice at least shooting out to 200 yards. So I had to find somewhere. Yes, it is wide open out there in New Mexico. So he was like, you need to at least practice out to 200. On day 2 of that hunt, the pronghorn we saw the first day, they kept giving us the slip. That's the same one I ended up killing, man. And I don't know, it was just crazy to me because he happened to be in the same location the next day. Uh-huh. And we were like on not a four-wheeler, something similar to a four-wheeler. We were riding on that, and we saw him. And he like went across a road, and we were trying to work closer to him, but he was going away. And then one of the guys I was with had a decoy that looks like a doe. So we both kind of get behind the decoy and start working towards him. I mean, he's still far away from us. Like, it had to be at least 300 yards. Like, he's still way far away from us. But that decoy threw him off enough to where he was, like, kind of interested in it. So he just stood there. And we getting closer and closer and closer. So we get to a spot where we think, all right, you need to try and take a shot. We set up. The guy tells me it's 300 yards.
Jesus.
I said, my rifle is sighted at 100. What do you think? He said, aim over his back just a little. I aimed over his back, and I shot. He starts hauling ass. The shot went right over him. So we start running with the decoy, and he's running. And then eventually he stopped and looked again, and the decoy is what got him, man. Like, because I guess he thought it was a doe, and he was a little confused. So he stopped again. The guy said, yep, he's at 300. He might be just a tad over 300. He said, put it on his back. So this time I put it like right on his back. Uh-huh. Dropped him. Wow. With my uncle's rifle, man. That meant like the world to me.
Wow. Did you start crying?
Went all the way out there. I didn't. I thought I was going to, but I think I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was so happy.
Yeah.
Then I didn't cry.
Man.
But
300 yards, dude?
300 yards with a 270. People are always talking trash about the 270, man. I love it, man. The 270, everything I've shot at with that 270, one shot, one kill. Everything, man. People are always hating on it. I don't understand. The 270 it's a great round, man. Great for deer, pronghorn, all of that.
Man, because, yeah, I saw the pronghorn, and I remember seeing the pronghorn and just being like, well, dang. And the thing about me is, being from South Carolina, a lot of people, you go anywhere in the country, Texas, New York, Louisiana is kind of like that. Those are places where people are like really proud of where they're from. Like, and they, almost to an outsider, it's kind of over the top. Well, that's how I am about South Carolina. Like, I always tell people they're like, where you from? South Carolina. I live, in Atlanta or whatever, or I live in Milwaukee part of the year. But if you ask me directly where I'm from, I'm always going to say South Carolina.
South Carolina.
And it's like, it's just a sense of pride. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I see somebody from the home state that's doing good, or somebody from the home state, in whatever area it is. And my point is, like, when I saw you with that pronghorn, and I was like, dang, we got dudes from South Carolina out here killing pronghorns? Like, that's what's up, man. Like, You know, you
I
don't,
appreciate it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure because, you know, people all over and stuff. But me personally, to say that I saw, you know, a picture from somebody and then actually got to talk to somebody, just like, okay, this dude went pronghorn hunting in New Mexico. You know, we from South Carolina. You know, we grow up, we know Aiken, and, you know, we talk about the car culture and hunting and stuff, you know, in South Carolina and whatnot. But I was like, dang, a dude out here from Aiken, out here killing pronghorns and whatnot, man. It's like, man, that's what's up.
YouTube, man. Seeing them pronghorn, I don't know, something about them kind of captivated me, man. I was like, man, that's something I want. That's something I want to try. I want to.
Now, how,
you know,
how does it taste? That's my question. How does it taste?
To me, if you cook something right or brine it right, it's going to be great. If you do something wrong, it's not going to be so great. But everything I've cooked with it so far has been banging. But I typically brine most of my meat unless it's ground. Like if it's ground, then I don't brine it. But
okay.
The first thing I made with the pronghorn was I made some Philly cheesesteak with it, but I didn't brine it long enough, so it still had kind of that gamey flavor to it a little bit.
Yep.
But the meat on the pronghorn is so tender, man. It's like way more tender than venison is. Way more tender. It's amazing, man. Like, I have to send you some pictures so you can see just how tender it is, because I was taking pictures when I was cooking a lot of it. It's amazing. What else did I? You see, the Philly cheesesteak, I didn't soak it in the brine long enough, so it had that gamey flavor to it. But other things I've cooked.
Forget the pictures, man. As many times as I come back through Augusta and past Aiken going to my mom's in South Carolina, I'm going to hit you up, man. You got to make me a dish or something. I gotta go get a plate, yo.
Yo, and it's funny, man, because, like, I cook all of this stuff, man. Like, my mom, sometimes she'll cook a lot of it, or I'll be in there cooking. Yo, Ma, how I do this? How I do this? You know, just asking her questions. Like, she's, like, helping me or whatever. But she will not eat any of the wild game. Man, it makes me so mad. Because I'm like, yo, I'm sitting here slaving in the kitchen doing all this stuff. You ain't even gonna taste it.
Every summer, I always, when I'm at home at my mom's house, I grill. You end up grilling like ducks, geese, making like venison hamburgers or whatever, and then having like the sausage. Like I'll put wild hog sausage or put deer sausage on the grill and stuff. And then the neighbor that's across the street from my mom, I always make him and his wife a plate. And then, you know, me and the kids will eat it. She'll nibble on it a little bit, but yeah, like she ain't gonna like just throw down on it. And I'll just be like, hey, remember what you used to yell at me about when I was little? You know, it's like, you can't knock it till you try it. Well, at least try it.
Yeah. Because I made some, the last thing I made with the pronghorn was some meatball stroganoff. And I just find these recipes online, like on, you know, different little hunting websites, stuff like that. Yeah. But I made some meatball stroganoff. When I tell you, it was amazing. I was glad that she didn't want to eat it. I was like, shoot, I'm going to keep this to myself, right? But I got one of my friends, she tried it, and she was just like, oh, my God, like, I can't believe you made this. I was like, me either. But it was banging, man. So I think it's just like with anything else. If you don't prepare it right, it's not going to be right. But if you prepare it how it's supposed to be done, or, you know, you brine it, it'll be great. Because matter of fact, one of those turkeys I got from Kansas, I brined it, and I took water, mixed, what did I put in there? Brown sugar, salt, onions, lemon. I might have just added some oregano, just random stuff in the kitchen, just adding stuff into the brine. And I let the turkey breast soak in that overnight, and then we like injected it with Creole butter. That was, oh my God, that was fire. Wow. My mom tried that because it was turkey. So she was, I guess she's familiar with turkey. So she was like, I'll try it. And then she was sitting there like, she's like, yo, this is good. So I've been trying to tell you this for years, man. Been trying to tell you for years. Because almost everything that I kill, I eat it. I don't know. I feel a way about that, man. Like, I feel like if you're going to kill something, you need to at least try to eat it or get it to somebody who is going to eat it.
No, that definitely makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, but that pronghorn is good, man. You have to let me know when you're coming around, or I have to let you know next time I can make something.
Yeah, because like I said, it's a easy exit off of 20. Yeah. Stop through Aiken and get a little pronghorn plate, man.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, like I was saying before though, what's next for this season, man? What you got going up next? You going anywhere for deer season? You just gonna lay low now? You gonna get back out there with them turkeys at home? What you got coming up?
Well, my plan was I've been going to some public land at home. The birds there have been whooping me. So I'm contemplating, because you know how it is, man. Once it gets a little late in the season and they start getting lonely,
right,
you can kill a bird then in South Carolina. You know, you got to wait until it's late, though, if he starts to get lonely. But my plan is to try to go to some public land a couple times, see what happens. But outside of that, I actually have, it's not one of the big extravagant hunts, but I have a hunt booked in South Carolina. And this is the first time that I've actually booked the hunt in my home state. So I'm just kind of curious to see how it's going to go. It's actually a 2-part kind of hunt thing. That's what kind of intrigued me. I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this.
Okay.
At nighttime, you get to hunt wild hogs at night. And then the following morning, you hunt wild turkey. Okay. And then the next night, you hunt wild hogs again. And then the following morning, you get to hunt turkeys.
Wow. Where you going?
It's a spot in Allendale. Down there. Well, that's kind of like the low country, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's a outfitter in Allendale. I can give you the information, man. I've been looking them up. They've got like alligator hunts, wild hog hunts, turkey, deer. Man, I had to find the picture and show it to you. Somebody killed a monster buck down there, man.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember what he scored, but he made it in the record book. I know that. He was huge.
Wow. Yeah, that alligator hunting is something that I kind of been eyeing too. I started putting in for my points in Georgia, and I may start trying to put in for some points in South Carolina as well. But yeah, man, shoot, that's what's up. Hogs and turkeys. I tried to go on a hog and turkey combo hunt early in the spring, but I waited too late to book. The guy was already booked up. Yeah, man, shoot, that sounds like fun.
How is the wild hog? I saw that you got a few, but I've never hunted them, period.
So
I'm kind of curious as to how this going to go.
So I've done it from a tree stand, like over like a corn feeder or whatever. I've done spot and stalk. Spot and stalking anything is hard to me. I mean, it's one of those things, like the more you do it, obviously the better you get at it. But, I like being in a blind or in a tree stand. I've done it with dogs. Not too many people will let you bow hunt hogs with dogs, just because, they worry about, you striking the dog, or the arrow going through the dog or whatever. But my very first hog hunt was, with dogs down in South Georgia. They weren't catch pits. They were baying hounds, and they bayed the hog up, and the guy called the shot, and I put it right through the hog's neck, passed through. He went about 5 or 10 steps and then keeled over. I love hunting hogs with a bow. I've never done rifle or shotgun with anything but waterfowl. You get a good broadhead and double lung pass through is what I aim for each time with a hog. So I love hunting hogs. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to figure out, once I get done with the playoffs, depending on how much turkey season is left, when I'm gonna get a chance to get on the hog, because my sausage is running low. So I wanna try to get on one. But yeah, man. And then, you know what? We hunted them at Texas. Me and my son, we went on a hog hunt at Texas at night. I had the little green light in my bow.
Spotlight.
Yeah, the green spotlight in my bow. We didn't come away with anything as far as like on a night hunt, but yeah, I love hunting hogs, man. It's a lot of fun, and I mean, obviously, hogs with what they, the devastation and stuff they cause, people, hunt them professionally, like as a nuisance or whatever, but as like a, sporting or a game. Shoot, man, I just love getting in the stand. Like I said, over some corn, over some kind of like hog wild or hog bait or something like that, and just kind of sit back and see what happens, man. So I think you're going to have a good time, especially out there at night. Because again, sounds like to me, like your pronghorn hunt, where you moving around and you kind of taking the fight to them, hunting hogs at night, unless you're hunting them, with a bow or whatever, man. Night hunting hogs, that's another situation where you taking the fight to them.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how this thing going to go.
Yeah,
my other question
you're
was,
gonna like it.
How do you think they taste? Because I've only had wild hog one time, but I'm not sure what they did to it. But I know when they brought it to me, it still had a bunch of the hair on it, and I was kind of like,
"Well, that's somebody that that's somebody that obviously didn't butcher and dress their hog the way they should be." I mean, I'm gonna give your answer that you gave me back to you. It all depends on how you prepare.
Yep.
You know, matter of fact, true story, before I jumped on the phone with you, I just finished making dinner. I had Cajun hog sausage, wild hog sausage. The guy that butchers my hog, he dresses. I had him make sausage for me, and he made Cajun sausage. And I had that for dinner tonight with some rice and some beans.
Dang. Now, so hopefully, if my luck continues, which it, for some strange reason, has been rolling, I'm going to have me some wild hog sausage in about 3-4 weeks.
Oh, yeah. You on a roll now.
Yo, man, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Like,
man,
I guess it might have been so many years where I just lost and took L's and been sad and depressed. Then it just finally turned around.
I was about to say, don't question it, but don't question it, man. Just take it how it comes. But yeah, I've done chops. You know, instead of like with the back straps or whatever, I've had, you know, sometimes I've had people just take out the whole back strap and then I'll make the chops myself. Like I'll chop them up or whatever. Ribs. I really hadn't perfected the ribs yet.
I was just about to ask that. What did you do with the ribs?
I hadn't really perfected the ribs yet. The one thing that I've had that comes out really good is either the butt or the shoulder and making pulled pork. But you gotta either put it in the oven overnight or you gotta slow cook it for a long time.
Yeah.
My thing is if you any kind of wild meat, you could throw that thing in the slow cooker and 90% of the time it's gonna come out right.
Man, I put a roast from the pronghorn and made some stew, and I had it in the slow cooker for I think it was a good 6 or 7 hours. That was really good. Yep. Yeah, I love the slow cooker, man.
Yeah, no, the crock pot king is what I call it. Man,
man.
Lafayette, we're gonna have to do this again. I have really enjoyed it. I'm gonna go ahead and get you out of here. Tell the people where they can find all your exploits with the cars and the turkeys and pronghorns, and you got all kind of stuff on your Instagram. Where people can find you at?
It's Blood, Sweat, and Gears 87. That's Blood, Sweat, and A-N-D, Gears 87. And I'm on YouTube and Instagram with that same name. You can look that up, Blood, Sweat, and Gears. And I kind of just came up with that name because of the hunting and the cars. And I feel like I put blood, sweat, and tears into both of them. You can look at it that way, or you can look at the blood from the hunting and then the gears from the cars. I just thought that would work together because both of those are my life.
Man,
Blood, Sweat, and Gears 87.
You can definitely tell that it is, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come through, man. Let's get together, and I'll get you back on after you finish your combo turkey and hog hunt.
Yeah. We can definitely do that. So I got something else up my sleeve for this fall, but I don't think I want to speak on it too much just yet. But it's gonna be something major.
Okay.
That's something I'm working on. So
little teaser, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, man. I'm ready for that one.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Lafayette, I appreciate you, bro. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get you out of here, and I'm gonna get ready to get out of here, and we'll catch up again soon, man.
Yeah, for sure. Just let me know, man. We can definitely do it again.
Yes, sir. You know, after we got off the phone with our formal conversation for the Bryant Land Country podcast, we kept talking probably about another 30, 45 minutes, man. One thing I've really enjoyed, you know, is just talking and getting to know people, knowing their backgrounds, and then just, you know, chopping it up with them, you know, after the fact. You know, maybe sometime here in the near future, I'll start doing some meet and greets, and maybe some of you guys can come out, maybe get one of the guests to come out if I'm in their area, and we can all just sit back and maybe have a couple of dope beverages and talk about our hunting experience. Might be something I need to put together here in the near future, maybe over the summer. But anyway, once again, thank you to Lafayette Trowell for taking the time. I am not going to take too long on this outro this week. You know, the couple things that I'm going to throw at you. The Bryant Land website, www.bryantlandcountry.com, where we have a lot of our interviews, videos that we've put together. And then we also have our Bryantland shop. Make sure you're checking that out. Get you some merchandise. Got 2 new t-shirts on the website. Got a t-shirt for the podcast, the Bryantland Country Podcast t-shirt. And then we got the old Hey Turkey t-shirt, to celebrate turkey season here. So make sure you go and you check those things out. We're going to come back with another great, stupendous podcast next week. Make sure you download and subscribe, tell 5 people, or better yet, share the podcast with 5 people, and make sure you tell them to share them with 5 more people. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you again. As always, we appreciate the support, appreciate the comments and stuff that you guys put on our Instagram and on the Facebook pages. Just really thank y'all. Really thank y'all for the support. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have a good one, and we will catch y'all next week on another episode of the Bryantland Country Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Bryantland Country Podcast, hosted by AB3. Please leave us a positive review and 5-star rating on iTunes. Be sure to check out our podcast section on our website, bryantlandcountry.com, for previous podcasts. Check us out on Instagram at Official Bryantland and Twitter at 3Bryantland. This has been an AB3 Media production. Join us next time for another edition of the Bryantland Country Podcast.